Let me move away from post-disaster and turn to international education. Recent ABS statistics revealed a drop in population growth in Australia from 2.2 to 1.5%. As natural increases stayed relatively level, this drop is a result of a dive in net overseas migration, largely from the reduction of international students. And while many may be relieved on the easing of pressure on our infrastructure, is this drop really a good or a bad thing for Melbourne and Australia? Education is, after all, Melbourne's second and formerly largest export. It is a larger export earner for Australia than gold, natural gas, wheat, or even beef. International education is so big that Deloitte Access Economics equates it to around about 1% of GDP, providing about 100,000 jobs to the economy, or about one job for every 2 higher education students in Australia. Put another way, for every 2 international students lost, we lose 1 Australian job, roughly 20% of that impact being in retail, a sector in dire need of support. So why are we not squealing to protect this? The fall in international students has seen a drop of nearly 23,000 students in 2011. That's 11,500 Australian jobs lost. If the current drop is not a cause for alarm, then the future progressions to 2015 should be. By 2015, some forecasts are predicting a drop of nearly 70,000 students against future expectations. If this occurs, that would mean 35,000 fewer Australian jobs in the broader economy. So why are we not fighting to protect this industry? Rather than being concerned about jobs, for some reason our nation appears so fearful on population growth that we applaud the drop in arrivals without fully understanding the broader economic impact. More concerningly, Glenn Withers, the Chief Executive of Universities Australia, said that the negativity around the Australian public debate on population, migration and, yes, refugees is, quote, creating an impression that we are not welcoming students or even welcoming visitors, unquote. We must work urgently to reverse the negative brand image of Australia, the negative image that we are an unwelcoming country, because that impression is not true. But we should not be surprised by this brand image risk. We had 30 years warning. Recently released papers revealed discussions in the Fraser Cabinet from the 1970s. Michael McKellar, the then Immigration Minister in the 1970s, said to the Cabinet, quote, under international law, Australia could legislate to prohibit entry to Australian territorial seas to vessels carrying refugees and expel such vessels. In view of our image as a developed, technologically advanced and still underpopulated country, such steps would be courting international pariah status, unquote. 30 years ago, we were told that. This was why we had a positive narrative about boat people at that time. And I see no reason why today we should have a different reasoning from that which applied over 30 years ago. We are still risking pariah status, and this risk appears to manifest itself in the education sector. A senior educationalist came back from a meeting in Southern Africa last week, and he said to me, Andrew, this was the first meeting in which I was asked by another senior business leader, is Australia the new South Africa? And he wasn't meaning the Rainbow Nation. If global uncertainty continues and it envelopes all industries, we must not see the international education sector as an isolated victim. Rather, we should see it as a strong indicator of threats to the broader economy. It would be naive to think otherwise. Those involved in business, small, medium and large, know that good reputation is critical. When given a choice, people prefer to do business with people they like. That is only human nature. And if the international education sector is the canary in the cage, and if the framing of national debate on population, refugees and immigration is portraying Australia as an unwelcoming country, then there is no doubt that this will impact on the broader economy and cost Australia more jobs. We know business is starting to realise this because business and more business leaders are speaking out to protect Australia's brand image. Who would have thought that only 10 years ago some of the most pro-refugee and pro-immigrant voices were not the left wing, but some in our business sector? Who would have thought the most moderate person on a panel at Q&A would be Clive Palmer? Then there is a deeper issue. Surely if we want to improve the globe, enhance intercultural dialogue and understanding, reduce conflict, enhance collaboration and cooperation, isn't international education a great diplomatic tool, not just an economic benefit? So let me propose two policy ideas. One, every Australian embassy in the South East and South Asian region should foster the creation of an Australian alumni. Many senior political and business leaders in the Asia-Pacific region have received some or all of their education in Australia. We should maximise the diplomatic, cultural and business advantages to all countries by keeping track of and fostering a lifetime cultural connection between former students and our country. While some universities are doing this, surely the Australian government should do this as part of soft diplomatic outreach. Secondly, we should allow Australian businesses that are looking to expand into the region to employ students upon graduation here in Australia. We should allow businesses to have a year or two for the student and the business to understand each other's culture, and then that new employee can be a beachhead staff when going back into his or her home country in the region, thereby allowing Australian businesses to have a better chance to thrive. The Knight Review released last week is heading in this direction and has recommended changes to visa rules to allow this. The government has indicated they will accept that recommendation, and I look forward to it becoming law.